There's a moment that comes later in life that doesn't feel dramatic at first. It feels small, almost reasonable, and that's what makes it easy to overlook. Recently, I was staying with my elderly mother to help take care of her. While I was there, something happened back at my own home. Nothing serious, just enough to cause some unease. I decided I'd head back earlier than planned, and when I mentioned it to my grown child, the response caught me off guard. He sounded unsettled, a little upset that I hadn't checked in before making the decision. There was concern in his voice about safety, about whether things were truly settled. He didn't want another worry at home. He didn't want me coming back if things weren't fully resolved yet. I understood where he was coming from. A few days earlier, there had been an incident, and his concern wasn't unreasonable. Later, he reassured me that it wasn't about control. He just didn't want to worry about me. He wanted to know I'd be safe. I believed him, and I appreciated that he cared. Still, something in me paused. I found myself thinking, this is my home. I've been taking care of myself for over 60 years. I know how to assess risk. I know how to make decisions. I've been doing that my entire life. What stayed with me wasn't what he said. It was how easily my autonomy felt negotiable in that moment. How quickly a decision that should have been mine alone felt like something I needed to justify. There was no argument, no tension, just a quiet realization that something had shifted. That moment stayed with me because it wasn't just about coming home early. It was about agency, about ownership of one's own life, and about how easily that can begin to slip away without anyone intending it to. And it made me think about something many parents experience later in life, often without having words for it: the invisible shift. At some point, a parent walks into their adult child's home and realizes something feels different. Nothing is openly wrong. Everyone is busy. The television is on. Phones are nearby. The grandchildren move in and out of the room. And yet, the parent feels slightly out of place. They're still welcomed, still included, but no longer central. Conversations continue, whether they're part of them or not. Decisions get made without asking their opinion. They find themselves listening more than speaking, offering help just to feel useful, staying a little longer than they should, because leaving too soon would make the emptiness obvious. Most parent-child relationships don't break. They thin. The invitations still come, but they feel automatic. The conversations still happen, but they stay on the surface. The warmth that once lived underneath everything hasn't disappeared. It's just cooled. What hurts isn't rejection, it's invisibility. The cost of overgiving. Most parents don't talk about this openly. They tell themselves their children are busy, that this is what adulthood looks like, that expecting too much would be selfish. So they adjust. They lower their expectations. They accept crumbs of connection and call it closeness. They say yes when they're tired. They stay quiet when something stings. They convince themselves that being needed is enough, even when being wanted would feel very different. Over time, this constant understanding takes a toll. When a parent never complains, their needs become invisible. When they're always available, their presence is assumed. They begin to feel tired in ways rest doesn't fix, worn down by the quiet work of holding things together without acknowledgement. And somewhere inside, a question forms, one they're afraid to ask out loud. Is this what my role is now? The lie we were taught. Many parents were raised to believe that love means endurance, that loyalty means staying quiet, that sacrifice is the price of family. We confuse patience with strength and silence with grace. But silence isn't strength when it erases someone, and endurance isn't love when it leaves a parent feeling smaller over time. At some point, wisdom asks a different question. Not how to keep showing up, but what continuing this way is costing emotionally, mentally, and even physically. What stepping back really means. Stepping back isn't about punishment. It isn't about cutting ties or making a statement. For most parents, it begins as a quiet decision. One less visit, one less effort to fill the silence, one moment where they choose not to explain themselves. It doesn't come from anger, it comes from exhaustion. From realizing that constantly showing up where you feel unseen slowly drains something vital. Choosing to step back doesn't mean loving your children less. It means no longer disappearing to maintain the appearance of closeness. The aftermath. No one sees. The hardest moments often come after the visit ends. The drive home, the quiet house, the stillness that settles once the noise fades. That's when the emotions surface. Not rage, not blame, just a heavy sadness mixed with confusion. Parents replay conversations, searching for something they missed. They wonder if they're being too sensitive, if this is simply what aging looks like. They remind themselves of everything they're grateful for and feel guilty for wanting more. And yet, the feeling remains. Something is missing. Solitude reframed. Being alone later in life is often misunderstood. Many people assume it means loneliness or loss, but solitude can be restorative. It can be the place where a parent finally hears themselves again after years of putting others first. Alone doesn't mean forgotten. Sometimes it means stepping back into one's own life. Time moves differently. Days are shaped by personal rhythms instead of obligations. The pressure to perform fades. In that quiet, something begins to heal. What appears when you stop auditioning? When parents stop trying to be remembered, something unexpected happens. Their days become quieter at first, and then fuller. They notice small things again. Morning light, long walks, conversations that don't require effort or explanation. New connections appear in simple ways. A neighbor who checks in, someone met through routine, shared interests, or community. These relationships aren't loud, they're mutual, balanced, easy to be in. Most importantly, parents begin trusting themselves again. They stop waiting for validation from people who are no longer able to give it and start living as though their life still belongs to them. If any part of this feels familiar, I want you to know something clearly. Nothing has gone wrong. You haven't failed as a parent. Your love mattered. Your presence mattered, even if it's no longer acknowledged in the way it once was. Thank you for spending this time with me. Truly. Your attention, your reflection, and your willingness to sit with these thoughts matter more than you may realize. If this resonated with you, leave a comment and write, "My time matters," and share where you're watching from. Let it be a quiet reminder to yourself. And if you'd like to continue walking through this next chapter together, subscribe and stay with us. You were never meant to fade quietly into the background of someone else's life. And often, the moment you stop trying to be noticed is the moment you finally notice yourself again.